This episode of On the Line is presented to you by Living.fit, your one stop for all your fitness needs. Make sure you go download the app Living.fit today. Now here's the show. Welcome to On the Line. Today is Tuesday, July 26th. We got a very fun show for you guys today. We got Matthew Semelsberger, one of the most slept-on fighters in the UFC, on the program today. He has the two fastest knockouts in UFC history. He has the most within 30 seconds in UFC history. Kind of a big deal, and no one's talking about it. But we talked to him, man. He's a really cool dude. So that's a real fun interview. We got our performance bonuses for the week, the fight of the night of the week, and then we got our medals for the week. So without further ado, if you're listening on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Listen on Apple, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, any other podcasting platform. Hit that follow, leave a review, whatever. But also, we are still looking for a co-host. You know the drill. If you want to find out anymore, look on my Twitter. It's pinned on top of my bio. So fill that out if you think you could be my co-host. So let's go on into Matthew Semelsberger. We are joined by a very, very special guest, one of the most underappreciated guys in the UFC. He is a college dropout, successful college dropout, who has the most sub 30-second knockouts in UFC history. We are joined by the one, the only, the Jedi, Matthew Semelsberger. My man, what's up?
Chilling, man. Just out here in this bright sunny day in Maryland, enjoying the day. I'm about to actually hit the mountain after I do the interview, so it's gonna be good, man.
Ooh, a little mountain biking or just like hiking?
Just hiking. There's this place by called Sugarloaf Mountain that I like to go to a lot and just like hike, climb a little bit, and just be out in nature, man.
Is today kind of like a day off from like MMA stuff and just kind of more just random stuff, just like that?
Yeah, like I can still get a pretty good workout from doing it. But like last night I hit like a pretty hard session with my boxing coach and with my MMA coaches. So today's just kind of like Saturday's always been like my free day. I can kind of do whatever I want. So I'll either like go lift weights or I'll go hit the mountain, stuff like that. So it's kind of like my free/fun day.
Free for all day. Yeah. Sounds like it is pretty peaceful, very peaceful, you know?
Oh
yeah. So that means you're not going to watch the fight. You're just going to go head up the mountain and just look at the highlights later if you even want to.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of times, man, like big cards I'll usually watch live, but like, I mean, I know this is a pretty big card, but like pay-per-views and stuff like that, I'll usually watch live. But yeah, man, I usually wait and just go and watch the replays later on ESPN, especially if it's like a welterweight fight or something like that.
Well, yeah, if you want to watch all those guys that are kind of where you're at, where you're kind of like on the cusp of being ranked, and you kind of you'll keep your eye out for, because they're probably all going to be potential matchups. But one thing I want to talk about real quick is the last time you're on a pay-per-view, you had that sub, you had another 15-second knockout. And I know after the first one, you said you were buzzing for about a week or whatever. It was kind of like pretty overwhelming. Was it the same situation again, or was it kind of like, it's just business? I've done it before. It's no big deal.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. So you're talking about like in comparison to I had my first quick
knockout.
Like
what was it like? Were you able to like? Was it kind of just like I'm used to this, but it's still kind of overwhelming? I'm just asking like how the differences in how you felt after.
It was a little bit different because when I did the first one, it was in the Apex, so there wasn't like fans there or anything like that, and it was weird. Like the first one, I was like cool, calm, collective after I finished him. But then when I knocked out Sano at 266, I was in front of a bunch of fans and like I worked really hard that whole camp, man. And then the fight was over so quickly. I just had so much pent up energy that I just I had to get it out, man. So that's why I was kind of going crazy afterwards. But yeah, I think it wasn't as overwhelming for sure. The first time it happened, the first quick knockout, like I was on like ESPN top 10 or something like that later that night. So I was just like, it blew my mind, dude. It was really weird to see myself, plastered on ESPN and stuff like that. But that second time around, man, it was kind of like just business as usual. And that's how it's been every fight after this. Just I've been kind of like getting into the groove and just kind of getting more comfortable with being where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel like also after that second knockout, I mean, he like refused to shake your hand at the weigh-ins or whatever. Like, I'm assuming, even though you don't want to say I had to piss you off a little bit just because it was a little disrespectful.
Yeah, a little bit, man. But like, I remember like going into that fight because this dude was from like Diaz's camp and stuff like that. But that's just like their culture, man. So I was definitely a little bit like angry about it, but just because I'm a very respectful person and I choose to give respect to all my opponents. So yeah, it was a little bit angering, but at the same time, man, I was kind of expecting it in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's just a human nature reaction. It's kind of hard to be like, I'm gonna shake your hand. You say no, even though we're about to get their hands knocked on. But it doesn't matter. You knocked him out in like 16 seconds. I do want to ask about the hair real quick because I know in your last fight with AJ Fletcher, it was a little kind of all over the place. I feel like it was really hard to see. Are you gonna braid it this time so it's not always in your
Yeah,
face?
man. Actually, I got it braided up a little bit right now.
Ooh, little sneak preview for the look here on next
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, actually, so I was over at my parents' house like a few hours ago, and my mom was like, "Hey, can I like mess around with your hair and braid it up and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So she just did this for fun. But yeah, whenever I get out to Dallas Fight Week, I already talked with the UFC peeps and stuff like that, and I was like, "They're gonna have hair braiders out there, right?" They're like, "Yes." I'm like, "All right, cool," because that's happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know because it looked like I feel like there are probably times you're like when you're in the stand up because obviously you guys were on the ground a lot after throughout the most of the fight. But I feel like there are probably times like I want to move my hair, but like I don't want to give him this opening to like hit me with a shot.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a big, honestly, a big mistake on my part last fight, not actually going through and getting it braided. I guess I'd seen like Clay Guida and some of these other guys like go wild style with the long hair, and I was like, I probably won't be that bad. But looking back on it, man, it was definitely annoying me during the fight, and you could tell because I was always wiping it out of my face.
I say I'm the same. My hair is like the exact same way. If I try to grow it out, it still like will just come down on my face and it won't just like naturally go back and stay back. It's the worst.
Yeah, man, it sucked.
This sucks. But at least one positive though was when you didn't have it braided, like when you're on top, he had the hair just keeping going in his mouth. That had to be annoying though. That's a nice little perk.
Yeah, man, disrupt the breathing and all that stuff.
He has a nice big full mouthful of hair and just doesn't know what to do. Just fucks him up. You know, it is what it is. Has its perks, has its negatives, but hey, it was a fun fight. It was a very, very fun fight. And so I did want to break down some superstitions real quick because I know like real quick, you are growing the hair out until retirement, right? Is that the game plan? You're gonna grow it out all the way till retirement?
Yeah, so I wanna. That's basically my plan, man. I want to grow it out until I hang up the gloves, and God knows how far and how long my hair will get. So we'll see, man.
Not even trimming?
No, dude. Actually, I don't trim my hair at all. Like I do. So I started undercutting it a little bit, and I got to redo it. But like, cause I had the mullet kind of going on when I went into
Yeah.
the Sano fight, and then I was like, I already knew I was gonna grow it out from there, and I was like, well, I'm not cutting it all again just to restart growing it. So I was like, whatever. I'll just keep the undercut. Um, so yeah, man, we'll see what happens with it. But I think I'll just kind of keep this undercut going and then kind of get this going. You ever seen the movie Avatar?
Yeah, so you're trying to do one of those things. You're trying to have like the old school
Yeah,
Viking look where you just have the really
yeah,
long like stripe.
yeah, exactly. And then eventually, hopefully, when it gets like super, super long, I'll be able to like I'll have like because you know like the Navi people, they have like the mohawk, and then they have like a single braid through it, and then they have like I don't know like feathers in it and stuff like that. I want it to be real intricate.
Just do some crazy shit with it. Just have
Yeah.
some fun.
Yeah, I talked to there's like this reporter, hometown reporter I was talking to after the AJ fight, and he was asking me about the hair, and I was like, dude, next time I'm in the octagon, maybe not like yet because my hair's not fully there, but I was like, eventually I'm gonna have the coolest hair in the UFC. Like you can bet that.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that. Are you gonna keep growing the beard too, or is the beard just kind of stay like right like that? Or are you gonna braid that bitch up too?
That would be cool. I'm not gonna lie, but this thing gets annoying as a mother effer, dude. So I'm probably gonna end up just after this fight, it's coming off, especially since it's like summertime and it's hot out, man.
Oh, that's
But
gotta be that's the worst part with having long hair and a beard is just when it's hot outside. Oh,
oh
ooh,
yeah, it's
oh,
rough, man.
it's brutal. It's brutal. But once you get to the winter though, I mean Maryland gets pretty damn cold, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, and it doesn't. My hair grows pretty quickly, so it doesn't take long to grow back.
No, 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 no. Well, and as we said, like hopefully you're not cutting this hair anytime soon. And as I said at the very beginning, you're like one of them. I feel like you're one of the more underappreciated guys on the card. Like, as I said, you have the record for most knockouts, like under 30 seconds. Anthony Johnson, whatever, he's 205 pounds, kind of asterisk, kind of Mickey Mouse. It is. They all knock each other out. But obviously, when you sign this fight with Moreno, I think a lot of people are like, oh, this is a fight of the night caliber kind of fight. Do you like that perception that you're just a dog and you're going to go in there and maybe get hit a little bit and have fun? Or would you rather be like, oh, he's going to go in there and do his work?
I like. I guess I like to be kind of more of a balance, but at the same time, I think my personality is more leaning towards like being a dog, being that guy that just likes to go in and get into a fight and take risks. So like, even if that means like, putting myself in more compromised positions, then definitely, man, I'd like to be that person. Because first and foremost, man, we're entertainers. We're there to entertain people. So that's important to me. But at the same time, like I said, I'm trying to be a more balanced person. So I do realize like I have to win fights in order to keep climbing the ranks. So you can't just go in there like a crazy person and go wild. So I'm trying to find the balance between like being chaotic and wild, but also being like almost having a method to that madness.
It's like you have to find that early balance. I feel like you did in that last fight, though. I mean, in the second round, eventually, you finally shot a takedown and you slammed him to the ground. But I feel like that was a nice kind of. It's not the first. After you did that takedown, like, oh fuck yeah, I'm finally like mixing everything together. Like I'm finally just not just a wild man in there.
Yeah, definitely, man. That was like, yeah, kind of speaking on like being smarter and with like AJ. So, like some fighters, you know that they're not gonna take it to the ground. They're gonna want to stand up and keep it on the feet. So after that first round, and even going like midway through the second round, I was like, all right, like AJ's doing a good job of mixing in these takedowns, and it's clear that he doesn't want to just keep this a stand-up fight. So that was kind of like I had to adjust my game plan a little bit to, all right, I can't just be like have a striking mindset. I have to have a full mixed martial artist mindset going into the rest of this fight. And that was honestly what was probably able to kind of allow me to flip that script and take over the second part of the fight.
Does that feel like you kind of broke a mental hurdle? Because I feel like there's this little thing in fighters' minds where it's like you want to stand there and bang, you want to like knock the guy out, but like a primal thing where you have to like overcome it and be like, all right, I'm just gonna go for the takedown. I need to go for the win.
Yeah, definitely in a way, man, for sure. I think like going back to the whole like balance thing, man, it's MMA is such a balancing act as much as it is like crazy and chaotic in there. And it's like you can't really expect anything because usually what happens is you expect something and then the complete opposite happens. So that's just how I've been like mentality wise, especially over like what I've learned in the past like two fights is like you just got to be ready for anything, man. You got to be ready to change the game plan. You got to have a game plan going into it, but you also have to be willing and kind of like have that plasticity to shift, if you will, you know.
Got to be able to make adjustments because like that's a game in the game and like in every sport, like in football, like you guys probably had a game plan when you're in college, right? The game plan is for one thing, and then you're like at halftime, like this isn't working, we got to change it up. Like that's just how sports are in every aspect.
Oh yeah, big time, man. And I equate a lot of things to football, dude, just because I've played. That's the one sport I've played and studied. Probably MMA and martial arts. Have probably exceeded that now at this point in my life. But as a whole, I've spent so much time as a football player, and then I played it at the Division I level. So I was like deep into studying film and all that stuff, and even being out on the field, it was like, you know, they could offense could shift the formation or do like they could like motion a receiver over, and it's like we have like two or three different like changes in our defensive schemes that we have already built in. So it's like having that know-how and having that IQ is huge, man. It allows you to play a lot faster.
And like when you're in foot, like it's like obviously it's a little bit different. Like adjustments, like in football, you might run up like a 25, 30-yard gain, but in MMA, you might be knocked the fuck out. Little different
Exactly.
severity of the adjustments, but I mean, like that's one thing in football too is it's another chess match, as it's not as severe. So just real quick about the football, I know you're at like a lower D1 school, but like, did you guys ever get like called up to like the Bamas or Georgias as like their warm up game?
Dude, we could have. So like I don't knock my college that much. Like I'm just not a person to really like put people down or anything like that. Like we had a good football program. And we had like a lot of resources, but I don't know why, man. Our coaches never really wanted to take those warm-up games, and they were offered to us for sure. I think they got offered like Syracuse and like a couple other big D1 schools wanted to schedule us for like their opening game. And I was all about it. Like, of course, I'm like, yeah, let's do this, man. I would love to play because that's what I wanted to do. And going from high school to college. And I had a lot of interest from big Division I schools. And then unfortunately I had like a bad ankle break and some things happened
Oh
where I
no.
couldn't even play all my senior season. I was out a couple games my junior season. So I just didn't get that exposure to kind of get those offers that I wanted to. But that was like what I wanted, man. But for some reason, our school kind of just wanted to stay in our own division and kind of play with those lower Division I, AA type of schools. But nonetheless, man, still played some pretty good teams, but definitely not on the same like size and skill level as like the big D1s like Alabama and all those big schools.
It would have been like a good space to like really showcase your players, because I feel like that's how, like, Darius Leonard got drafted. He had like a 20 plus tackle game against Clemson, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And it just kind
Yeah,
of gives examples for you guys. Like if you have a crazy game against these teams, it's like it opens up to like draft scouts who are already at the games and they wouldn't usually be at like your guys' game. So it does
yeah,
suck a
man.
little bit. You kind of get that showcase.
Yeah, but it was cool though. Actually, I had two guys from they weren't the same class as me. I think they're one of them was like actually both of them are like 2 years above me, but I got to play with them for a few seasons. They both went to the NFL. This one dude, Terrence Fade, he was a D end. He played for the Dolphins, and then I think he played for the Jets for a little bit. And then actually this other dude, his name's Jason Myers. He's still in the NFL now. He's a kicker. I forget where he's at
Yes,
now.
I have no idea where
But,
he's at either, but I know that name. That when you said that, I kind of figured, yeah, I've heard that guy before. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
man. So it was cool. At least we did have a couple NFL scouts coming in, but they weren't like looking at like me or like any. They were looking at like two specific dudes, and we knew that too. But it was cool seeing them around.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And being a white safety in a lower D1 school probably also didn't help out a whole lot too either.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. And so one more football thing before we move on is just like I heard you had like you've had your story like in terms of like how you got an MMA and all that. So it's really fun, but without getting too much into that, I know you had your best friend from college went to TCU to play. Did it work
Yeah,
out?
it did, but like in terms of playing time, it didn't. Like I don't think he really got to get in on the field and get playing time that much. But um, Kylan was one of those dudes where I think he just had like I think a bigger plan at work, and I don't necessarily mean that from a personal. I mean that from or even more like a higher power, like a universal like perspective, man. So that dude has done like a lot of things for community, for you know guys and girls that come from a lot of similar backgrounds as he did. And I'm speaking on so people will know Kylan Moore is the dude I'm talking about. He's one of my best friends. So he transferred out to TCU. He walked on the team. I'm pretty sure he got like a scholarship after being there for a little bit. But like I said, I don't think he got the playing time that he really deserved. And that was the same. That was honestly some of the reason why he ended up leaving Marist, where we were at, because honestly, man, coaches just wouldn't give him an opportunity to play. And it kind of blew my mind because he reminded me of one of those dudes. He was just an athlete and he was just a winner. Like a big person I think of is like Tim Tebow.
Yeah, the
Like
perfect example.
a lot of people gave him crap just because he was like a spiritual religious guy and he was very vocal about that. And like he wasn't the best quarterback. He didn't have the best arm. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't the most
Mechanics were
skilled.
off. He wasn't
Yeah,
like he
mechanics
just it
were
just
off.
not like he wasn't supposed to be good. And he wasn't supposed to win, but he would
Yeah,
just will it. It was just the craziest thing. He
yeah,
just wills it to happen.
yeah, man. He would just find ways to win. So it's just like our college was not a great like in terms of how we did each season. I think we only had one winning season the entire 4 years that I played there, and our defense was pretty damn good. Our defense was like top 10 in the country for like 1AA, but our offense was just not good. And a lot of that had to do with just like the coaching and them not taking risks and just like playing it safe all the time. And that was like why I was like, it made sense that they didn't want to give like Kylan that chance because he was like totally opposite of the type of person that they were looking for. You know what I mean? In terms of like, all right, if no one else is open downfield, you check it down every time. You don't take risks. You play it safe. And I don't know, man. That was completely opposite of his personality. So I think his whole idea was to get things going and get out to TCU in Texas. But as much as he didn't get his opportunities out football wise, he met the love of his life out there, and they got two kids now. So he's doing really, really well for himself, man. I think, like I said, from like a spiritual, like not saying like if whether you want to say a God or not, like God's plan for him, man, was just like you're gonna go out, you're gonna be the love of your life, and you're gonna find like what your meaning is for this life. And he's a motivational speaker. He's got like a book out that's been like it's very, very like successfully selling. It's basically telling his whole life story. And yeah, dude, it's
That's pretty
interesting.
cool. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
man.
Yeah, it all works out in different ways. It all works out in different ways. You guys kind of both took your little sacrifices. You literally dropped out of college, as we joked about earlier, and you became a successful MMA fighter, UFC fighter. He was spiritual, a little bit different, but everyone's successes are different.
Yeah,
Real
man.
quick, too, you grew up in the DMV area. Are you a Baltimore Ravens fan or are you a Washington Commander football team guy?
Oh man. All right. So I was born into a Washington football fan base. I love the Ravens. Don't get me wrong. I do love them, but I am through and through a Washington football fan, and I hate saying that, especially the last basically my whole life, because they haven't really done anything other than when they had like that brief little moment of time with like RG3. They did like made it to the playoffs, and then what was it like when
2 years
Cooley?
ago, Heineke, he almost
Oh,
beat
Heineke,
Tom
yeah.
Brady. That was so much fun. That was a
I
fun
will
year.
say this, dude. Washington always seems like they always have talent and they have good players, but they just I don't know if it's just like some curse with Washington football, dude. They just can't ever bring it. They can't stay consistent. They can't consistently win games. They beat people that they shouldn't beat, but then they get crushed by people that they should annihilate. It's just weird.
They'll beat the Bucks and the next week they'll lose to the Giants. It doesn't make any sense. I will say the reason I'm bringing that up too is you now have Carson Wentz. I'm a Colts fan, so I had to live through this for a year. You're talking about how you don't want him to throw check. You don't like it when they threw checkdowns. You're going to be begging Carson Wentz to throw checkdowns. I'll promise you that. It is painful. It is painful because you guys have who is it? You have McKissick, and then who's the other one? You have another one who's really good. I can't think of his name.
I'm trying to think, man. To be honest, man, I haven't kept up with Washington like I used to, man. It's because I've
Well,
been so busy with training and whatnot. But dude, I hope they put Heineke in, man. I
I
like
love
him.
Heineke. I love him. He's
He's
so much fun.
great.
He has that moxie. He has that it factor, you know? Not everyone
Yeah,
has that it factor. He has that it factor. So let's go back talking about you. Let's talk about. I mean, as we just go back to Moreno, I think it's a very fun fight, and I feel like for him, he's kind of. As the nicest way I can say, he gets a little reckless at times. And first round he goes balls blazing, then gets a little more into like a dogfight kind of thing. When you get into these kinds of fights in these situations, how do you prepare yourself for these like first round barrages?
Uh, I mean, sparring for sure. Like getting guys in there that I'm gonna spar with that are big and that are strong and that are just like honestly dogs, man. Like two. All right, so just these obviously aren't these guys' real names, but two of the guys that I was sparring with for this camp, one of them's nickname was Ruthless Aggression, and then the other
Okay.
one, the Mad Titan. So just from off their names, man, these guys are two dudes that are just willing to throw down and just be dogs in there. So I think just having guys that are willing to kind of emulate that type of style to work with has been huge for me to kind of get ready for that first round, that craziness that's about to be coming, man. But also like working with my coaches, like we do a lot of pad work, we do a lot of drilling, and just like all that drilling and that pad work is based around like what we're going to be trying to do in the fight. So just being smart with our drills in terms of like relating it to how things most likely will play out. But then also I think even more so is having those guys in the gym that are willing to kind of play the part of your opponent, which is a very underrated thing because not I mean like at a big gym, like these huge gyms that produce a lot of UFC fighters, they have all the talent, all the resources in the world. But when you have like smaller gyms like where I come from, no, you have to reach out to other fighters who are, in the area but not maybe at the same gym as you. And you have to really just kind of reach out, make connections, ask them to come in. So I would bring in guys that I knew about and know of, but like I'm not teammates with them. So it's kind of one of those things. It's almost weird in a way because when you first come in, it's like you want to be respectful to each other, but at the same time, you're like, hey man, like I need you to try to take my head off.
Like, don't be nice to me, dude. Like, just go all in. It's all right. It's all good. But at the end of the day, we're boys. But like right now, dude, you need to kill me. You need
Yes,
to try to kill
exactly.
me.
So, but yeah,
Is
man.
it? Have you thought about like? I mean, obviously it's working, and I'm not saying you should leave. Is there a party that thinks that maybe at some point or another you're gonna have to move to like one of these bigger gyms to get the guys around?
Nah, probably not, man. I think like for some people, it's a very viable option. I would actually even encourage it to some people. But in my situation, man, I think I'm gonna stay where I'm at. And I've also made a lot of connections with, UFC fighters who are all over the country. Um, And then just like in general, some of the guys that I'm training with are like striking specialists or they're jujitsu specialists, especially the jujitsu perspective, man. Crazy 88, the gym that I'm from, has like some of the best jujitsu like you can go to, like especially in the US. But even I'd even would go out on the limb and say like around the globe, dude. We got a lot of guys who compete at the highest level of grappling and do very, very well. So for me personally, no, I'll probably just kind of keep where I'm at, man. But that's also just like my personality, man. I want to stay closer to home. I want to stay with the people that I kind of started with and made this ride up to the UFC with. And I think that for like my spirit's sake, man, I think that's going to do me a lot better.
I mean, that makes sense. Again, everyone's different. It was just kind of, just interesting. Everyone's different, and there's a lot of people. There's a lot of guys like you who do the exact same way you do. Not like in that area, but like they stay close to home, kind of train around home. It's just better off. Like Poirier is an example, and Fletcher. They both train together, and they're in Lafayette.
Yeah,
Just kind of they all trained up together. So, and as we said, like you got I've said this now like 5 times. You have the 2 fastest knockouts. But when you go into a fight, is there a part of you that also like you got the decision now? Is there a party that wants to like get a later finish than like the first round knock? Like, hey, I don't just get knockouts in the first 30 seconds or a decision. Like I can do it in the middle.
Yeah, man, and that's just part of me wanting to prove myself. I think is like in an ideal situation, man. I would love to have a late finish, man. That's like what I want to do. Like that, if I could have it my way every single time, it would be like a back and forth fight, and then I have to work through some adversity. I have to work through, whatever problems that arise in a fight, and then I'm able to overcome that, and then put a stamp on it with a finish. So I think for a lot of fighters, they probably are, at least I'm not like speaking for others, but like at least in terms of the fighter mentality, more like a Viking sort of mentality is you don't just want to go out and just dominate. You want to go out and you want to earn your way into Valhalla, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to either die on the battlefield or gloriously fight through and, have a near death experience and go back to your camp with your wounds and stuff like that and tell war stories and whatnot. So that's kind of my mentality, man, is I want to have hard fights, but I also want to be able to finish them. The decisions are good, and it's nice when you get a decision win, but it's just there's nothing in comparison to when you go through and have like a knockout, drag out fight, and then are able to put that stamp on it and get the finish.
Yeah, so that's gotta be something to crave him for. And then also, if you get like a submission, you can have like the wiki cappers like, oh, he has great jujitsu and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, he's great on the ground. Even though when you guys fought in the AJ fight, you really did show your ground game, like the scrambles, things like that. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was fun grappling. I don't know if you saw anything from the Bellator last night. They had grappling, wasn't entertaining like that. But anyway, so another big thing about this fight, obviously it's a fun fight. You're also you're the featured prelim at UFC 277. Did you even hear Morono's name before you accepted the fight? Because you heard you're going to fight on pay-per-view. You're like, yeah, fuck, I don't care. Just put him against anyone I'm in.
Yeah, basically, this time I heard the name, but I was like already yes, like as soon as they said the name. But I've had like when I got the offer for 266 back when I fought Sano, they were like UFC 266, and I was like yes. Like didn't even have to hear the name. Like, and that's how it would always be, man. Like if it's pay-per-view, I don't care who it is. Like really, as long as the timing's right, I don't care what the name is. And I'll say that like I've had a few fights that I was offered very short notice by the UFC that the names like are irrelevant, but it was like the timing. I'm a very like timing oriented person, man. So I want to have the time to prepare no matter who it is, whether it's somebody who's 4-2 or 27-0, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's got to kind of line up with my timing and going back to like being from a small gym. We got a bunch of other fighters, who are trying to make a come up and stuff like that. So as much as I'm like the kind of lead guy and the most experienced bro, I want to give these guys the opportunity to have the resources and work with our coaches and stuff like that. So yeah, man. Doesn't really matter about the name, but as soon as I hear pay-per-view or like a big show like that, yeah, I'm even more so in.
Is there a part? I know you've talked about it before how you want to go like in the enemy territory and fight someone in their home country. And I'm assuming that's got to be next center, right? You got to want to go, like, for instance, like London's today. You'd be like, oh, I'll fight a welterweight in London right now. Let's do it. Fuck yeah.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. I used to do that back when I was an amateur. I'd go to like New York and fight New York guys. Virginia and fight Virginia guys. Like, it's just, I don't know why I like that, but it's fun, man. It's like in football when you would be the away team going into a home team stadium and just like wiping the floor with them. You'd be like, yeah, like we did that.
You silence the crowd. There's nothing like it. It's
Oh,
so
yeah,
much
man.
fun. It's so much fun.
Amazing feeling.
It's almost like just like imagine like knocking out someone in their home country. Like obviously the knockout's already a primal feeling, but knocking someone out in front of his home people, like,
Yeah,
come on, you can't beat that.
nah, man, that's weird. I mean, sorry, that's wild.
Well,
Weird and wild, actually. I
It's
don't know,
both.
man.
It's
I might be
everything.
looking over my shoulder if I'm in somebody's home country and I
That's
knock
true.
out their boy.
Might want to have a flight ready to go that night if you have a fight like that, just ready to go. Like for instance, I know you've like called out Ian Gary before. That was like that's the only guy you've called out, which I do think would be a very fun fight. Say like you knock him out in England, like you'd literally have to be out like right away.
Oh yeah, most likely.
They tried to kill you. So I mean, obviously you don't want to look ahead. And I know, and as I kind of said, you haven't really called anyone out. But since you are now on the cusp of the rankings, is there a part of you that is like, I do need to start calling people out if I want to really start moving my way up to the title shot?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's for me it was starting out. I didn't want to call anybody out, and even right now, like even after the AJ fight, I still like held that same mentality. But after this fight, I think, like you said, I'm kind of getting onto the cusp of being ranked and getting closer to the rankings and stuff like that. Now you're going to start hearing me get more vocal, for sure. And I think that's just part of my process and part of like even just part of my vision for my career as a UFC fighter, man. It's like me. I stepped into the party, and it's not like I'm just going to bust open the door in somebody else's party and be like, like I'm the boss here. So I want to kind of make a name for myself, gain some respect, through these fights these earlier fights in my UFC career. But, I think after this fight, especially if I go in and have a great performance, you're going to start hearing me chirping a little bit more and letting people know who I want to fight.
I like hearing that. It's kind of like not a drug guy. I don't do coke or anything. It's like going to a party and like just whipping out the coke right away. You're like, let's get wild. Let's get wild. You're like, you don't just do that. You don't just casually show up somewhere and do that. No. So another thing too is that, like I said, you dropped out. How long did it take you to convince your parents though to be like, this is a good idea? I promise you, this is gonna work.
Oh God, man. It took.
I'm assuming
to
this day they're still not like all the way on board, even though you're in the UFC.
I mean, dude, they were always supportive, but they were just like worried, obviously. Like they were disappointed that I dropped out because they wanted me to get a college degree. And I think as time has gone on, they started to realize like, kind of how like, especially nowadays, you don't need a college degree to be successful. And that was kind of like a big lie that was spilled to like kids, especially me and like our age growing up. And even now, so nowadays they're still like spilling out like you need to go to college, get a good job and this and that. Like I think if you're trying to do like a very specific thing, like if you're trying to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like along those lines, and yeah, you need to get a degree, you need to like go through the process of doing that because that's like how it's been. But you got trade schools that you could be in for a few years and you're making more money than like pretty much anybody your age would be who would be going through college and starting out with a bunch of college debt. So anyways, getting back to the point, I think my parents definitely got a lot more on board as I got more and more serious, and they could see it, man, like how dead serious I was about training. And I was like fighting very actively. Even when I got like first dropped out of college, I think I had gotten my first amateur fight like only a few months after that. And I was just kind of hit the ground running ever since, man. So they, I think as time went on, they just kind of like their confidence in me and their support of me just kind of like kept going up as I kind of kept rising up with things.
So, and a couple more things because before we wrap up. So, like, yeah, it's kind of hard to convince your parents. Luckily for me, I got a degree in everything, and like that's kind of an example. I don't need a degree to do what I do. I can just like content creation, things like that. You don't need a degree, but I did. Now I'm covered in debt. Kind of sucks. It is what it is. So another thing too is I know you kind of said this in the past. You're a little introverted, and it's kind of probably why you haven't been so crazy about going after guys. Does that make it harder to interact with fans like on Twitter and Instagram and things like that?
Actually, not really, man. I think it's more so like when I'm, I guess you could say more so when I'm in like like the culture of like, let's say like a UFC fight week bubble or something like that, where I'm surrounded by like my peers in like my workplace or something like that, or like shoot, man, even just being out like at the grocery store or just some random public place. Like I'm just a shy person in that sense. But if you're in my realm, like if you, I should say, like if somebody steps into my realm, I'm an open book, dude. Like if somebody comes and questions me, like I'm actually like not really that introverted, because it's like, okay, like I see that this person is interested in hearing what I have to say. So I'm a very sharing is caring, right? So I was like raised to be the sharing type and be a kind person. So I guess whenever people ask me first, or like people engage with me first, it's a kind of like a almost like lets the pressure off. I'm like, oh, okay, well they want to hear what I have to say, so it's like I'm gonna tell them.
Okay.
But other than that, you know what I mean? I'm not that first person to really like engage first with people. That's just like how I've always been. And it's something that I'm working on too, man. Like I know I can't just be like a person that's like, oh, well, if they don't say something to me, I'm not going to say something to them. So I've been trying to get better with kind of going out of my way to engage with people, and kind of learn a little bit more about people as a whole.
I'm the same exact way. I'm the same exact way. I won't say a word to you, but if you say come up to me, I'll talk to you forever. It's weird how I'm the exact same way though. And so one more thing before I let you go. I know you used to be a substitute teacher, and obviously in the Instagram, Twitter, social media world that we live in, there's a lot of haters, trolls, things like that out there. Obviously, you haven't really probably had to deal with much of it because you've been pretty successful in the UFC, minus the Chaos Williams fight. It's been going according to plan. But did those kids telling you suck when you were in the UFC, does that prepare you for all these trolls on social media?
Ooh, yeah, dude. Some of my biggest trolls were some of the students, but also at the same time, some of the biggest supporters I had were students too, man. Even before I was in the UFC, these kids would ask for my autograph because they knew I was an MMA fighter. So I was like, it almost kind of like gave me confidence in a way, because I'd be like reluctant, because they'd be like, oh, can I get your autograph and this and that? Because you're famous. And I'm like, no, like I'm not. I would tell them like I'm not famous, man. Like I just fight. Like I'm an MMA fighter. Like I do something that's pretty cool. But some of these kids would be like, their eyes would light up just like knowing that I did something out of the ordinary, and I was like a cage fighter, but I was also a substitute teacher. So some of them were some of the biggest support, and honestly, they gave me a lot of confidence in myself. But at the same time, I had a bunch of kids in there who were just a bunch of knuckleheads who just wanted to talk shit, and like basically, like you said, man, they'd be like, oh, you're an MMA fighter? You're in the UFC? I'm like, no, not yet. And they're like, oh, well, you suck then. Okay.
They just want to bust
Right.
balls. That's all they want to do. They just want to bust balls.
Oh yeah, of course,
Yeah,
man. But yeah, man, kids will be kids.
kids will be
I
kids.
actually enjoyed working with them. After I retire from fighting, I think it'd be cool to get back into like teaching, and work with kids again, whether that's like coaching sports or like being a teacher or something like that, man. Because it's fun.
I bet you'd be a really good coach. I bet you're a really good coach. And so, one question before I let you go. I know you're a D&D guy. What's the most ridiculous thing you've done on a D&D turn? I know you've said in the past, like you just like, oh, let's just roll to see if I can kick you in the balls.
Oh gosh, I'm trying. Oh, okay. So one time, I tried to roll to break my fall. So what class was I? I think I was like a ranger or something like that, and I had like a pet falcon, and we were trying to jump from we were in like this enemy base, and we were jumping from rooftop to rooftop to try to like stay out of the vision of the guards, and I like crit failed on my jump, and I had like my pet falcon on my shoulder, and I tried to tell the DM, I was like, all right, I'm gonna grab onto my falcon's legs to try to break my fall, like he can like flap his wings and like try to like break my fall. And that didn't work out too well. I think I ended up falling on a bunch of guards and taking a bunch of hit points or something like that. But that was probably one of my crazier ones. But dude, there's so many.
There's so many. It's wild. I was listening to. I don't know if you ever listen to Part of My Take. They have a guy come on every now and then they'll do D&D together. It's just like they'll betray each other, kick each other nuts, all that other kind of stuff. It's pretty funny, things like that. But anyway, before I let you go, if you want to shout out anyone, sponsors, friends, family, whatever, go ahead and do so.
Yeah, man, just all my fam, all my friends, Crazy 88, my teammates, Coach Sebastian, Coach John, Master J, Coach Sergio, Coach Southside. I don't have any sponsors or anything going on right now, just because I've been honestly, I haven't really taken the time to seek any out or take the time to really try to go about that. But hopefully after this fight, man, I'm gonna take some time, get some merch made and stuff like that, and maybe get some more of that sponsorship stuff going. But other than that, man, just all my support, all my fans out there, almost everybody who's just hitting me up, wishing me well, wishing me luck. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, I got more stuff for you, but we'll save it until after the fight, until your next one when you're getting ready to fight for a ranked opponent. Maybe you'll be ranked. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But I have more stuff for that point. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Good luck next weekend.
Thank you, brother.
All right, he's the man. Can't wait to see him knock out Alex Morono here in like 20 seconds. That'll be sick. But let's go on into our performance bonuses and fight of the night for UFC London real quick. Make it nice, quick, simple, to the point. Kind of a shitty card. The Scousers, big winners, big winners this past weekend. But I'm going to go into my performance bonus of the night. My performance of the night was Paul Craig before the fight and Paul Craig during the fight. Before the fight, angry, in your face, kind of like, I'm going to fuck you up. Gets into the fight. He lays on his back, Charles Oliveira style, kind of is begging him to come into his guard. Kind of a Mickey Mouse not Mickey Mouse, but it was kind of like the polar opposite of what he was before the fight. But if you know anything about Paul Craig, that's kind of how he fights. It was kind of weird. Vulcan had like the most awkward, slow striking. I don't know how to describe it. That dude has the innate ability to look like he just doesn't give a fuck, then also like fight in a cage. I don't know. It's special. Shout out to Paul Craig. Also want to give a quick shout out performance of the night to the dude who was smoking cigs in the crib. Felt like the 90s again in the O2. That was pretty dope. And here's my honorary fight of the night, though. It was outside the realm of MMA, UFC. It was between Nick Castellanos and this reporter. So pretty much they're asking, "Hey, Nick Castellanos, did you hear the booze?" He's like, "Yeah, I fucking heard the booze," which actually takes me to my winner. And we'll talk about the whole fight here in a second. Is actually national tragedies and color commentator problems and mistakes. Because ever since it's been, I think the Castellanos strike has only hit like twice this year, maybe once. With all the lack of national tragedies and the lack of mistakes by color commentators and analysts, it actually has a correlation effect with Nick Castellanos' performance, hence playing more like shit. We need more death and just mistakes in the world for Nick Castellanos to really take himself back and live up to his contract.
It's like that the crazy to hot scale thing. You need the amount of national tragedies to Castellanos batting average. It directly just correlates.
Or just like analysts, like these guys in the booth. We need them to like do stuff and then like have to talk about it on air, because that's when Nick Castellanos, he has like this innate trigger to just go off. I don't know how to describe it. It's a special gift. It really is special. So that's actually my first winner. That gets us all into winners and losers. My first winner is national tragedies and color commentators around the baseball realm. We have yet to have. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Sorry for the Phillies fans, but anyway, Harrison, your first winner. Your first winner.
It's tough. My first winner was something you just touched on when you were doing your fight of the night performance bonus. It's Scousers. They pulled up and had a hell of a time in London, about 2 hours south of Liverpool. Molly and Patty got shit done, as they've been doing in London. I mean, that's 2 for 2 this year, isn't it?
2 for 2.
Yeah. I mean, they're just the English fighters have just a hell of a time in London, and mainly the Scousers. So good shit for them. And I mean, that speech Patty gave after his win, I mean, he's a fucking idiot 99% of the time, but he was speaking some real facts there, and it was nice to see. So
good for Barstool, good for the Scousers. I mean, the UFC, they've done very, very optimistic matchmaking, as kind of everyone said all week. It's been the best matchups for Patty and Molly. Don't know how much longer they can keep that up until they actually have to fight real contenders and real, I like, no disrespect to Jordan Levitt, by the way. I actually think he's a pretty good fighter. He just stylistically, that was a pretty bad fight for him, just because Patty's jiu-jitsu is like on par, if not maybe even better than Levitt. And then Levitt's striking is like non-existent, which I think that's what the UFC wanted. They wanted him to strike more, and they wanted Patty to knock him out. Is what it is. Still get a submission, and he still took over the whole entire social media sphere. He was the talk of the entire weekend, so they are big winners.
It was all over my feed.
Oh, all over. And you get everyone kind of chiming in, saying the same thing, people patronizing to it, all that other kind of stuff. It was a great message. But I'm going to go on to my loser. Let's talk about losers. Is True Love, kind of a twist. Past couple of weeks I said True Love really, it's in. Incest. Everything else has become kind of normal of this kind of shit. But America's favorite couple, Steph Curry, Ayesha Curry. There was a video that went viral over the weekend after the ESPYs of Steph Curry giving a girl an oil check, putting his finger up her cooter, call it a pinky and the stinky, a rusty fish, an Alabama stir stick. I don't know what else do you want to call it, but he put his fingers up this girl's butt. It was not.
Oh God.
All saw that, or maybe it was Ayesha Curry. I didn't check the facts, but we saw it on tape. He did put his finger. He give a nice little oil check to some girl after the ESPYS. So yeah, free love might be dead now. Maybe we're on the path of like credit. So yeah,
Hot boy fall.
City Boy Summer, City Boy Summer,
City boy summer.
City
That's
Boy
what it
Summer.
is.
That's what it is. Harrison,
City boy summer.
your first loser.
My first loser is going to a term, and it's the term the no fun league, because it looks like the NFL is actually trying to incorporate fun stuff into their football instead of just focusing on the game and letting the athletes have fun with it. I mean, the introduction of the third alternate helmet was something that fans and players have been asking for God knows how long. It's been at least 10, 15 years, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Something like that, yeah. And they're just killing it on these releases of these alternate helmets. I mean, the Eagles black helmet looks sick. The Bears with their orange helmet look ridiculously nice. We've got throwbacks galore, and next year the Eagles are getting their Kelly green. So if the NFL could just like loosen the uniform restrictions even more and allow for like a few more alternate helmets, we could see like an NFL where like city edition jerseys like the NBA, or like reverse retros like the NHL, those kinds of jerseys could be a thing in the NFL, and that would be huge for sales, huge for jersey analytics, and just all that fun stuff on the side. So no fun
I'll
league,
be
an
honest.
absolute loser.
I'm gonna be completely honest here. I might sound old as shit. I kind of like that the NFL doesn't have a lot of crazy uniforms. I kind of like, again, might be the old me coming out. I like the classic uniforms, like the Colts, Bears, Brown, like old school Browns. Like I like, or the Giants, things like that. I like the old school uniforms because it makes it feel professional. And then when you start adding in
Mhm.
all the jerseys and stuff, it kind of feels Mickey Mouse a little bit. Feels a little too what's the word? Yeah, Mickey Mouse. That's the right way to
Yeah,
describe it.
Mickey Mouse is a
I
great
don't
way
know.
to say
It
it.
feels
Yeah,
too much like college at that point. And you want to, I don't know. That's
yeah,
just how I feel about it. And I feel like
I
them.
get that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm cool with the
Yeah,
jerseys. I get the money side and all that, but the NFL is the NFL. I feel like if you
yeah,
overdo it, it starts to become that takes over more of the story. And it's the NFL. I care about what's on the field. Not like in college, you have this
yeah.
terrible ass team in Alabama with like 7 different uniforms. All they care about is how they're going to look on the field. I care about what's on the field. God damn it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I only say this because I don't want the Eagles to get rid of their midnight green, but I also want to bring the Kelly green back. And
Let's rotate
yeah,
it.
I just
Let's
want
rotate it.
options.
Rotate it like
Just
everyone.
rotate it.
Rotate it like the NBA used to, and now it's just like out of hand.
Facts.
Now
The
it's
NBA
just out
used to
of
have
hand.
such a good rotation of jerseys, and now it's just
No,
every single
everyone
one.
has like 10 jerseys, and
Yeah.
then like the Lakers will be playing. No. What was it? Who had the Pacers? It was like the Heat were playing the Pacers. And the Heat were in like the Pacers
They're-
colors, and then the Pacers
yeah.
were in their hickories, so they looked like they were the Miami Heat. It made no
Yeah.
sense. And then the score bug had the Pacers as the blue and the Heat as the red. Like that's the kind of shit I hate it. I hate it. That's why I don't like all
No,
these
that
crazy
shit's
shit.
absolutely stupid. Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So I want to go to my next winner. It's Russell Wilson. He should be a loser for this, but I don't know if he's playing into the bit or not. We have a new meme. Are you dialed in, Harrison? Because I'm
I'm
dialed in.
dialed in.
I'm dialed in.
absolutely dialed
I'm
in.
dialed in. I'm going to send you that emoji. I'm dialed in. Let's ride. So Russell Wilson has created another meme. Guess him getting out of Seattle. When he cooks, he just cooks memes. So shout out to Russell Wilson. I'm very excited to see what he can do this season. And if he starts to lose, maybe like after like 4-4 after 8 weeks, he just sends an emoji. It's just, I'm dialed in.
Yeah,
So-
dialed in, having
man.
some fun out in Colorado, not really caring about the on-field product. I'm dialed in.
Oh man, I love Russell. I think he's corny as shit, but he's so funny. I can't tell.
It's a wholesome corniness. Like you can't not have fun with it.
No, he's still a douchebag. He's still a little bit of a douchebag. Let's ride.
Well,
Let's
yes,
ride.
sir.
Let's ride. All right, Harrison, your last winner.
My last winner is Nerds, because Comic-Con was this week, and nerds are having a hell of a field day, and I can say that because I am one myself. I mean, we got the announcements for 2 new Avengers movies in the same year. We got the date for the Fantastic Four movie. We're getting a new Captain America movie. Daredevil's getting a reboot, which I've been waiting for that for like 4 years now, because Daredevil was my favorite show of all time. And I mean, we had a whole bunch of other announcements too. I mean, Shazam had their first trailer. Black Adam got a new trailer. But yeah, it was just a good weekend for nerds because we had a lot of fun shit going on. But I digress, and that's talking superheroes.
Well, losers are nerds. So nerds are losers. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's go back into our last losers. So my last loser is cancer. Um, so Trey Mancini lost to comeback player of the year, who he literally came back from cancer. He lost that to Klay Thompson, who overcame an ACL tear. Now, not only did Klay Thompson only come back to like 75% of what he was, he didn't beat fucking cancer. Usually, I don't really care about these SB things. There was a couple years ago they
Yeah.
gave like the comeback player or like courage award to like the Jenner whatever the fuck whatever his name is now, Caitlyn Jenner. Sorry, I don't pay attention to them, so I always forget who's who. But
Yeah.
she won it over this girl in Cincinnati who like was dying of cancer and
Yeah.
was able to play a game at Xavier or something. It was like one of the coolest
Yeah.
stories. And she was supposed to win posthumously, and then they gave it to Kendall Jenner. So Caitlyn Jenner, sorry, Caitlyn Jenner. So that was the
They
only
all have
other
a great
time I've
name.
ever been like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And this is the next one where it's just kind of like, that's kind of a tough scene. Not like on that, not on that level, not on that level,
No,
but
because I mean, Clay was a big comeback athlete, but you don't have a bigger comeback than
then
beating
cancer.
fucking cancer.
Like John Michi, who just got diagnosed with leukemia. Oh, T's and P's, thoughts and prayers. I mean,
Yeah,
he'll
no,
battle through it. He'll
he'll
beat
battle
it.
through it.
He'll battle
Yeah,
through it. Technology, medicine. He's young and healthy. He should
he's
battle through it.
apart from the cancer, he's a healthy young guy, and
Yeah,
hopefully
he'll
with
make it.
the right treatment, and hopefully they caught it early enough.
He'll be good. He'll be good. He'll be good.
Yeah,
And it's like, for instance, next year he should win after he goes off on the Texas when Davis Mills has become the franchise quarterback.
the goat,
Yeah, it'll be him and Tegan Cortoriano, who's coming on the show here in a couple weeks.
another goat.
Another young goat, another young stud. There'll be John Michi. He'll go off. He'll become one of the best players in the league, and then he'll win the Comeback Player of the Year award, or he'll lose it to Tom Brady coming back for his like 40th season. So, yeah, loser, cancer. Harrison, your last loser.
My loser is the biggest loser in baseball right now. They finally broke the curse of the Bambino, 18 years ago, and now they're suffering the curse of Sidney Sweeney. It's the Boston Red Sox. Hell of a 10-game stretch they've had, going 1-9, losing 25-3 to the Blue Jays in that span, and just looking like dog shit. At this point, they should embrace the tank and just blow it all up because you've got your World Series rings for the last 20 years just set. So just accept where you're at, blow it up, let the Blue Jays and Yankees run this division, and just accept the curse of Sidney Sweeney. It's a new one. Boston fans haven't had a curse in so long. They deserve this, and always fun to root on a Boston team's downfall.
Shout out to the Barstool intern who said the Boston Red Sox are never going to lose again because of Sidney Sweeney, and then they lost by 28. So
Yeah.
shout out to that intern who installed the curse. Also, like my loser, me, like my like headphones are like all tangled up, and I'm like trying to figure it out. I think I have to take these out, but that's been fucking with me for the past like 10 minutes. Anyway, quick other thing, I forgot to mention this in my loser segment when I talked about true love. I told an 80-year-old dude I was gay this weekend, so let me explain how I got to this point. So we were, I was just bartending, you know, my usual little side gig. I do weddings and stuff, and I bartend. It's easy money. I have the fights on in the corner. Don't have to do shit. It was like an 80-person wedding, so I didn't really have to do much. Oh, it was great, fantastic. And so this old dude comes up to me. He's like, "Are you two in a relationship?" And it's me and this 18-year-old girl who, like, I'm 26. That's an 8-year difference.
Ooh.
She's a coworker. And this guy's just like bringing that up casually. I'm like, what the fuck? And regardless, so he brings that up, and I'm like, no, dude, she's engaged because she's engaged already. You know, Indiana, young love, whatever it is.
Indiana.
I was like, dude, she's engaged. And then he's like, I won't tell anybody. I'm like, dude, no, what are you talking about? How are you getting this information? Like, why are you bringing this up? And then he's just like, you know, I just think you guys make a great couple. And I'm like, okay, dude, here's your drink. Fast forward, he does the same shit again. He's like, are you guys sure you're not doing anything? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty damn sure. And they start saying, oh, you're just like a young, like and then he's like, who's cuter, him or your fiance? And then she's just like, I mean, my fiance, I'm engaged to him. Why would I say him? And then she keeps saying that. I'm like, dude, I'm a piece of shit. I have addictions. I'm a terrible human being. No one should be with me. And he keeps saying it. And then eventually, at some point, he asked her like one more question. It's like, dude, like, doesn't matter. I'm gay. He pauses for like 5 seconds. To be honest, I would have said it earlier, but I wanted his tips, so I didn't say a word. And then I found like, dude, I'm gay.
Smart.
And then he paused there for like 5-10 seconds. And then he just pretended like he didn't hear it. It's just like, you really are making a mistake not going with this guy. And then he walked away. I didn't hear from him the rest of the night, though. So I think it worked. But
That's a great way to scare off creepy old men. Be like, I'm gay.
I'm gay. And so the thing is, I knew if I said I'm gay, I knew he would stop tipping me. And I was dead on. He did stop tipping me, and he never came back up for another drink. So looking back on it, I probably just said, dude, you're being weird. But also I wanted his money. So I thought I'd just fuck with him and I tell him I'm gay, and he never really.
There's nothing more fun than lying to strangers at a bar.
I've never had that urge just to be like say that, but I also do like to fuck with people. Usually, actually, that night too, I wear different name tags as the night goes on. So I started off with Max, and then halfway through the night, I switched to Connor. He didn't notice that either. He was just so fascinated with the fact that me, a 26-year-old dude, wasn't hooking up with my 18-year-old engaged coworker.
Shock of all shocks.
Yeah. Wow. I don't like to poach young women. Man, what a terrible guy.
What a statement. What a statement.
That dude is so. Actually, no, I can't say this on camera. I was gonna say there's some things I can make some assumptions about that guy, the way he was talking. I
can make some assumptions based off what you're saying.
If he was, all I'm gonna say is if he was my age, if he was our age in these times, I don't think I think he would have been exposed on social media quite a couple times. So yeah, shout out that guy. Shout out to me being progressive and just being okay with someone thinking I'm gay. I don't care what people think. I'll just say I would say that. I don't. If you think I'm gay, I don't care. I'm straight. Let's just get that out there. I'm straight. But I did think it would be kind of funny, and it was funny. And no one believed when I first told my boss about it, because he thinks that kind of stuff. So he's like, "No, you didn't." And then I was like, "No, like you can ask them." Like I literally said it, and it happened. It happened. I'm proud of myself. But yeah, shout out my bartending situations. I can't get a girl's number, but I can have an old dude telling me to hook up with an 18-year-old.
The class that is the classic bar situation. That really is.
That's a tough scene. That was a tough scene. That was a really tough scene. I know he'll never see this. I remember at one point then they asked me like what I do for a living, and I've never told anyone like we're cool with Jonathan Taylor or anything. And like I was just getting like sick of his shit. And I was like, yeah, I have a podcast. I'm a loser. I do it in my parents' basement. Like, dude, like I literally I'm a loser, dude. Like get away from me. So
fuck off. I don't want to deal with you.
Fuck off. You shouldn't like me this much, dude. You barely talked to me. I literally pour drinks. Like the fuck. It was
Thanks for
weird.
the tips, but
at the very beginning he's like, you gotta become best friends with the bartender, and then he just tries to get me to hook up with an 18-year-old. Like oh my god.
Is that not how you become best friends with a bartender?
Apparently so. So if you think being a wingman for a bartender is a good idea, no, it's never a good idea. Which also to preface, yes, my studio is in my parents' house, but it's because I live in an apartment complex and it's a little loud and I like it to be quiet when I record and it's not annoying. So, little truth, a little lie, you know, it's like fun. Here's a little trick for everyone who wants to lie. If you mix a little bit of a truth, it doesn't hurt so much.
It's a half truth. It's, you know,
a little white lie in the truth. You can always say it's a truth. So if you want to lie to your girlfriend or you want to lie to anyone else like that, so you mix a little bit of truth. She can't get that mad because then she knows it's the truth.
Exactly.
Being toxic.
That way you can argue your case better because you don't have to come up with random facts on the fly. You can just pull from real knowledge.
City Boy 101.
Little white lie.
City Boy 101. What can I say?
Yes, sir.
There you go. That's how you lie. That's how you lie and
City
do
Boy
it well.
Pod.
We're City Boy Pod. All right. Harrison, any shout outs before we wrap this thing up?
Only one would have been Castellanos, and we touched on that earlier.
Did I announce that his wife liked one of my tweets?
Yeah, I think you did. That was
I think I did. Yeah,
a little bit ago. Yeah.
Yeah, when last time we had the national tragedy.
Yeah.
She liked my tweet. So shout out Miss Castellanos. Move out of Ben Simmons' house.
Castellanos.
Yeah, get out of there. Yeah, so shout out them. Shout out the friends of the program. Curse, it is officially broken. With the Cassie winning this past weekend, even though he wasn't on the show, he's coming back on. He was going to come on there's a lot of miscommunication. He's going to come on after. We already talked about it, but shout out to him for also breaking the curse. We got Semelsberger this week. He's also going to break the curse. So now we're going to go back to our winning ways. Shout out to the friends of the program. So that's my last shout out. On Friday, we got Jason Witt or Diakesi. When I don't know when we're having them on. It might be Sunday like we originally planned, so it might be next week. Regardless, we got some fun interviews coming up. Got a lot of fun this week. So without further ado, that's the show. We'll see you guys on Friday. Apply for the job if you want it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around with me all the way to the end. I just want to once again thank the sponsor of the show, Living.fit. If you're looking to better yourself, make sure you go to download the app or visit the website Living.fit today.